we reflect right now with the tragedies that we see playing out on our televisions, hundreds of lives lost in the southeastern part of the United States, and it's a stark reminder of the importance of what you all do. I mean, every day, people count on you to stand between them and danger, things that would take their property, take their lives. And when we see those tragedies unfold, it breaks our hearts in many ways. And I want to take a moment and just reflect on those lives that have been lost over the course, not just in Texas, but across this country over the course of the last months, and natural disasters. You know, I was thinking that it's been about a year ago since we were mourning the loss of a really dear friend, someone who would have been on this stage and regaling us with stories and still tuning you up, kid, as he would have been saying, you know, that you're doing a pretty good job. We're going to keep you on for another week. You know, when you think about Jack Colley, there's a lot of great stories that come to mind. As a matter of fact, he would have probably had a little more colorful way of saying that to you, Nim, but fact remains that we got the right person at the helm of our emergency management team. Jack picked well, he trained you well, and you didn't exactly ease into the job, as I recall. It was, you know, when you think about managing emergencies in the state of Texas, it's never an easy prospect, but you just think about in the last few days and what you all are still having to deal with from the standpoint of wildfires across the state. We're close to 2 million acres now that have been consumed. You've had to deal with this continual threat of this extreme drought, these high winds. The conditions are still some of the most extreme in my lifetime. You've had storms and tornadoes, massive hailstorms. Seems like we got our plate full. We're not even to hurricane season yet, JJ, so truth is there are just few states in the nation. You know, we talk about Texas being unique, Pastor. It is so true in a lot of ways, whether it's the fabulous people that live in the state or the variety and the severity of the natural disasters that we work with. It is unique. And sometimes there's a lot of bad news that shows up on our news outlets. But there's also some great news. A lot of times it doesn't get reported as much as the bad news does. But the good news is if you plan well enough and train often enough, you get really good at meeting the needs of the state and the threats that approach us. The team that we've assembled with to deal with our emergencies, there is no one better in America. The Texas Emergency Management Team is the best in the United States. Our success is built upon a coordinated effort of first responders, local volunteers, the local officials, county judges and commissioners, mayors, city council members, our Texas military forces, state agencies, private sector partners, The managers and planners continually seek to improve our effectiveness, our response time. How do we shorten that period of time from when we order until it arrives on station? Of course, the best planning, the best preparation in the world is only as good as the people on the front lines, and that's our first responders. It's these brave individuals who continuously and consistently place themselves in harm's way to protect their fellow Texans, our property, our livelihoods. I think about Hurricane Ike and the evacuation of the Gulf Coast, rescuing someone from the onslaught of a flash flood, struggling to hold the line on these rapidly moving brush fires. Our first responders stand ready to ride to the rescue. And tragically, as we've witnessed lately, sometimes they pay the ultimate sacrifice. Individuals like Elias Macias Jaquez up in the Panhandle, that Cactus Fire Department, Gregory Simmons down Eastland. We lost both of those individuals in the recent fires. And we really owe it to them. We owe it to them and their families. To all of you who put your lives on the line to make sure that we give you the best that we have. And that's why conferences like this are so important, so we can come together and determine how to further refine our plans, see new technology, and see how new technology is available, or what is available, and how to work in particular instances to share our experiences over the last year. One of the things that we've learned is that the people best positioned to deal with the crisis are those at the local level. You know your community. You're familiar with the strengths and the weaknesses. You best know how to get things done. Over the years, we've learned the most important thing we can do as a state is to work together with the local leaders to ensure that we have the resources that you need at hand, and have that replenishment pipeline in place. That's the reason we built this partnership with our private sector friends. We figured out that there were companies out there that knew how to deliver water and ice and supplies better than anybody in the country. And we invited them in to become our partners. We stand ready to quickly provide any additional assistance that you all may need. Again, I brag about Texas on a regular basis. And, I'm sure I'm a little biased, but rightly so. But again, when you talk about emergency management and emergency response, nobody in America does it better than Texas. And you just look at the last couple of months and the brave men and women that have been out there fighting these wildfires. Think about the thousands of Texas homes that have been saved, the businesses, the untold lives that have been saved because of the coordinated professional effort. Those who lost their homes found themselves taken in, cared for, as they're facing a really daunting challenge of rebuilding their lives. Fact is, we've seen this before. Even on a larger scale, in 2008, when Hurricane Ike hit, we had our first responders who rescued 3,500 people. There were more than 305 shelters stood up statewide that took in more than 51,000 displaced Texans. That's what happens. That's what happens when you have the dedication and the bravery and the compassion of a world-class operation. Preparation has to happen at all levels of government, including in our legislature. And we have to make sure that we adopt policies and follow principles that'll keep our state fundamentally strong. We have to be restrained in the type of decisions that would leave us vulnerable in an unforeseen future event. It's one of the reasons I have been very adamant in keeping a substantial amount of money in our rainy day fund. I mean, the idea that we are expending substantial amounts of money today in the fight to save people's property and their lives with these wildfires. Huge amounts of money. If we were to spend down that rainy day fund to balance a tough budget, I understand. But if we were to leave that fund with only a minimum amount of money in it, and in August or September of this year had a Category 4 or 5 hurricane hit Houston or Corpus or Brownsville or Beaumont or one of those major cities on our coast, it would be devastating. We would find ourselves between rebuilding and bankruptcy. And no one has that, no one has that crystal ball. But to be prepared is what you all are all about. That's our responsibility, to be prepared, to make those types of decisions. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, we can't always count on Washington to come running. You know, it's been 2 weeks now since I wrote President Obama requesting assistance to deal with these wildfires. I'm still waiting on a response. You know, I've long contended that there is a very limited set of federal government is obligated to perform. And I might add, perform well. Disaster relief is one of those fundamental duties. While we still hope for a positive response, the truth is we have to keep ourselves as prepared as possible to deal with these situations. And I happen to think protecting that rainy day fund is one of those. Again, I want to tell you what an honor it is to stand here in front of you today. I'm humbled to get to work with men and women like you. It's in those long, long hours watching Nim and Steve and the General, our agency heads perform, long hours, without much sleep, and people's lives are on the line. I realize I truly am amazingly blessed to have individuals of your capacity, your intellect, your passion that I get to work with every day. And it's events like this that ensure that we don't just rest on our laurels, that we know that our preparation, our training, our finding the new best way to deal with these events that affect us. And it motivates us to be relentlessly in pursuit of that perfection, if you will, of that improvement of our skills and our capabilities. That's what this particular event is all about. There's going to be somebody here that exchanges a piece of information of something you did in your area, in your county, your city, and it worked. And you share that with someone else today, and it saves somebody's lives down the road. That's why we're here today. This is important work. And let me say thank you for your commitment to fine-tuning our state's emergency management system. The people of Texas are safer because of you. God bless you.